I'm looking for unusual wood. I have two pieces. This was in a small cutout, and it was going in the fire bin. And anybody know why I picked this one? Back row, Dan? Yeah, that's what I wanted to. And the smaller one, it was coming up. Anyway, I did two lidded boxes. It's a little loose here and does not fit the Allen. What's his name? No, the English guy. It's either, there's two grades you can get, A or F. That's all there is for lid boxes. This is F. There's true, but if you go out, what is it? Old timer. He passed away 10 years ago. Anyway, A or F. And from his way he graded it. So this is a little bit too loose. But I picked this one for the color and then I decorated it and have some examples. And I did bring some others that, and you can pass it around the lane, that had different color in them. Just a little bit tighter. In fact, back to you, Wayne, this one is just a bit off. It feels like it's a bit oblong. Wood was a little bit green. I can feel it. And the bad side to something like this is women will not open this up because it is a pain in the hindquarters. This is merely for, yeah, we can be rechucked. You can put your dollar bills in it and you can't get them out. I'm sure a dollar bill will fit in there. Anyway, I brought a few to look at, and they don't necessarily have to be out of the same piece of wood. I've made more of a mushroom look where this is a flat piece of wood and the straws are going this way, where this piece of wood, the straws are going this way. So it doesn't have to be out of the same piece of wood. It gives you a different look, kind of a mushroom fit inside. So I'm looking for unusual woods. This one's got, it's got the sapwood and the heartwood. And just as examples, Alan Batty, it wasn't Alan Batty. Anyway, pass, fail, pass, fail, pass. Comes off, fails. Anyway, that was his criteria, how he made him, and he's yeah. And Jerry, I didn't want to pull the tags off because then we're gonna go back home and management's gonna have a review of how the tags came or left. More than $2 an hour, yeah, okay. Wayne and I had a discussion about whether we're making money or not, but that's all right. No, he's English, real big in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. No, that he would have been with. He worked with him when he. No, I can't think. I mean,
that's all Google can tell me.
Okay. The Australian guy and he were buddies in England. Raffin, Richard Raffin, and this other Turner were the same accord in 50s, 60s, and 70s. I think his first name was Alan, but I don't remember. Okay, so those are. It isn't Batty. Yeah, it's a little tight, a little different color. You take a look. Don't throw them away. Please bring them back. All right, so we're going to go show you. We're going to turn a lidded box today. As I explained earlier, you can also do green wood, and some of these I've taken the green wood and I've cut it and I've extracted the inside to allow it to dry so it won't crack. Some of this, I think I have a plum right here, piece of plum. That's the right matching piece. And it's developed a crack here and here. you might be able to save it if you really wanted that plum wood to get a different look. That's another way. They have tenons on them. And we're going to go through making a lidded box. And there's some lessons from making a birdhouse, cutting the tenon, and we'll go from there. I use 50mm jaws and try to use those to capture my lidded box. So the first thing we're gonna do is wood selection. I think this is a piece of big leaf maple, and I've got it marked off with a center point on the top and center on the bottom. I'll check it up and I'll put a tenon on each end. The tenon allows me to re-grip it after I part this piece of wood. So I'm going to select approximately a third down. Find my glasses. The top, about a third of the way down. This measures about 4 inches. So 2 3/4 is where I'm going to select the parting point. And I'll kind of eyeball that. Is that enough room for the top? I'm going to put a tenon on it. And how much I'm going to lose in waste? I might go down a little farther, another 1/2 inch. Work that top some, so allow myself some room. If you make the lid too tall, you'll get a different look. I think the one that's got a real thin top, I think is going around. This one might be a little bit tall, squeezed in the top. Anyway, you need to consider the shape you're going to make, how tall the top is. We're going to go with this and a few defects in it. So I'm going to put, and I got this opposite way. Okay, so I'm looking at this and I want to spin it around. I don't, because I want to take the top off first. And I want on the left-hand side, because I'll put the tenon on that side first and then the bottom. So I'm going to put tenons on both ends, but I'm going to work on the top first. Right. I have a skew that I've got half-inch skew round over, and it's not square on, but I've gotten used to it. I'll use it to put a tenon on each end. What's the start? We'll use a peeling cut. Oh, about it. Yeah. And put a little bit of a dovetail. We go inside the chuck. I'll put one on the other end. I could also use just a straight half-inch bedan or scraper. Get that tool rest up just a little bit. All right, so I have a tenon on both ends. That's a little, could be a little bit smaller on that one. Let's see if it works. Let's double check. I want to make sure it fits. I didn't go too small on the bottom one. I'm gonna double check. Let's see, top, bottom. And yeah, it'll be close. It'll work. It'll work. It'll work. So the bottom works. The top one is actually a touch big, but it'll work. All right. So I'm going to go back in and part this thing off, reset that up. I'm going to go back in and part this off where I put the line in, and 1/3, 2/3. Or there is that magical square. I don't remember what the number is. I just looked at this. I eyeballed it. I also want to pick up more on the top, and that's where I went with that line.
Why did you start it off with put it in the chuck instead of-
Well, right now, I have a center line all the way through that. I'm a little concerned. I go put that in right now. I'm part of it. I don't have, this will pick it up. But I know I have a center line through here because that's the way I put the two tenons. As soon as if I go back and chuck it up, Wayne, I'm a little concerned that the axis going through is not perpendicular all the way through. I'm off a degree or so. And I have done that before. You went in, I chucked it up, I parted. I'm off a little bit. It doesn't quite line up. So I prefer to do it this way. We could do what you said, which is go put it in and use the tailstock to line up. But I know for sure that my access to these ends right now are 90 degrees. And take that down a little bit. It was a little heavy. I'm gonna take that off just a little bit more. And I sharpened up the parting tool before I came, so we're going to try to get a decent cut. Remember, we're trying to get a arc in it as opposed to just straight in and scraping it. So I want to go a little bit more on one side, half a blade width, so I can so I can take away some of the tension. All right. We now have two parts, base, top. I'm going to work the top right now to get a the lid edge and decorate whatever I need to on it right now. I like the stub center. There are some folks that don't like it and say, you know, why didn't you just take it off and use the a spur drive? I just think if you're doing a lot, it's nice to have it on. So I'm looking at the shape a little bit of what I want to do here. I certainly want to hollow the top out and get a lid going in the top. See if it looks square. Looks pretty good. I'm gonna clean that edge off. Get a nice. Is there a smaller rest here? Okay. Yeah, I forgot to check for that. Thank you. Cool. Thank you. So I'm gonna clean the face of the top piece off. I want to start on the edge. I want to catch it. And I don't want to get a catch. I mean, it's easy to get a catch, get that edge and start moving down here, but I'm going to try to get in there. See how that looks. Still some tear out in it. We'll see if we can just get that outer edge. That's all we're working about. So clean the inside of that out. Now it's got a bug in it, but we'll have to live with it. All right. So I've got a pretty good edge in there. The next thing is, how thick are we going to make the lid? I'm coming in kind of heavy right there. I don't know, 3/16. We'll take a look. No, it's a full. It's 5/16. A little bit heavy, but that allows me to design the top a little bit more. If I come in too thin, then I can't work that top if I want to change the design on it. So we're gonna go in with that 5/16. I'll work the top. This is not the only way. Some people do the base first, but this is what I was taught. So work the top. I'm going to come in here with a different parting tool and set an outside edge. Yeah, you guys have that. Oh, it doesn't have it on here, does it? Okay, that's all right. That's all right. Anybody use a lathe at home and then Michael, you've been to other places. Use your lathe at home and you get to another place that doesn't have the same parts or tools on the lathe you're expecting? Okay. All right, so I'm going to come in here with the parting tool. I'm going to go set the depth to the pencil. I'm going pretty deep, and I want to clean that out. I'm going to go back in with the spindle gouge. We're getting a little bit of grabbiness. And I want to make it a little bit deeper, lighten it up some. And I'll clean that out with a scraper. I'll get the depth in there. So I'm going to go down in. I've got some room there. The top is now 1.25 inches. So I'm going to probably go in 3/4 of an inch to that edge and mark it here. So I'm going to go into that depth. That gives me plenty of room on the top, and I'll work from there. Questions? Why I picked that? I just it leaves me enough room on the top to work some kind of device to grab on the top. And I've got a little bit of tear out inside here because this wood's a little bit soft. So see, I can clean it up. Scraping the inside. The one thing you need to check is to make sure that this is the mortise or recess is straight in. Because if it's tapered, the bottom does not want to come on at all. It's going to cause a problem. You'll see where it's hanging up. So you can follow the ways to see if your tool is coming in straight, looking straight down at the way. I got this a little too low. All right, so about 3/8 deep in there. That should be plenty. I need to clean that edge up before we go too much farther. That bottom step in there. Clean that edge up. And then while you're here, let's decorate the inside of that. I'll come in and use texturing tool. Set this at about 200, 250. Come on. Yes. Where's the lock on that? All right, we'll hold it. I won't push too hard. Okay, so I'm trying to put a flower on the inside. Come back in with a point tool. To show, well, show a little definition between the lines. Flat spot up. So I've got that defined a little bit, and then I'll get some 320, here's 220, it'll work. I just want to take a little bit of the burr off there that we developed there with the texturing tool. Okay, so we have the top developed, at least on the inside. And I'll take that out of the chuck and put it aside, and we'll put the bottom in. I'll put it up here. Put the bottom in, and let's. Okay. I want to clean that edge up first. Get that edge nice and clean. It's in fact, it's not even straight. You can see that it's got, I don't know if you can see from the front row, it's got when the parting tool, it's got a rise to it. So when I clean that off, we're only looking for the outside edge more than anything. Okay, all right, that looks pretty clean. Now, I don't have a depth tool. Some people use a drill bit and a handle. I'm just going to go in and with a chuck and a drill bit to set the depth here, so you don't go too deep in here. And go right through the bottom. I like to keep from doing that. So we'll go down about, looks like about an inch, inch and a half. Yeah, inch and a half, maybe inch and 5/8. And that is, all right, I get it there. All right. Set a depth so we don't go through the bottom. That's what we're doing here. You could do it, one's a drill bit. You could use your tape on a thin spindle gouge. All right, so we got the depth set. We'll try to clean the inside of that out before we set the, and we have, okay, so I've got this set, so I know what size that 10 has to be. Okay, it's got to be. I go a little wider. All right. All right, we know coming from the top of the 10 and I measured onto the bottom, what's the maximum that can be? I want to be inside that. So my outside line is where I can't go any farther widthwise. And my inside is where I want to hollow this out. I'm going to take a parting tool and set a line here for right now. And take a spindle gouge. Then I'm gonna take a scraping tool and just go straight in. Clean the bottom up. And a little bit of nub in the bottom. We'll clean that up, lift up gently. I could stand to go probably a little bit deeper than what we're not quite an inch and a half. There's a little bit of room to move to thin that out. All right, so then we're going to put the tenon on. And maybe 1/8 inch depth wise. We'll start with that. Yeah. Well, that's kind of rough on side there. I have to go clean that up. Anyway, I noticed here where I was going through here that it's somewhat rough there. I'm gonna have to go back and try to clean that up. It looks like it just kind of tore out a couple areas. See if the tool's sharp enough or go in with another tool. It just doesn't look as good. It cleaned the bottom up, but the star didn't come out, or the center of the flower didn't come out as well as it could have. All right, so we're gonna put a tenon on. I'm gonna go one width. A rough idea where it's going. This is the fun part. Not quite there. Yeah, I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this tenon, this recess in here, and it just doesn't look. Looks like the taper's going in. So I'll have to clean that up. It's not, and it's not square. Let's see if we can get that to fit. Yeah, a little bit. Oh yeah. Okay, so I think the tenon is just a little bit. Yeah, it's a little bit tight. It's got the pop. All right, so. All right, so this is where you have to be careful. Things keep changing. I'm gonna go clean this up. I'm not happy with the, they seem to be tapering in, and I wanna make sure I get this back where it's chucked up, because you can have a problem when you rechuck it, it's not centered. It'll be off. Looks like it's out around a little bit. It's flat. Speak up, sir. I'm sorry. I'm hoping just to take, yeah.
Yeah, the question was, if you square that off now, won't that make the lid a tad loose?
It could. I want to take right here. Yeah, it's out a little bit. It's out. I can see it. You can see it. Hear it? It's not quite, I don't have it quite on the money. So. They tell you can't rechuck up. And for the most part, that's true.
So Tom, another question.
Yes,
Do you ever number or mark the jaws that it goes in when you take it off?
I have in the past.
In the hopes that it would help remount a little bit better?
Yes, a long time ago. Now I do it by eye. That one I could just tell it was off. One right. So I rotated it. This one is not got that. A little bit. Yes, that'd be one way to do it. You could do it that way. And I've got two things I'm trying to work. That back edge is looking pretty ugly up there. I want to clean that up, and then I want to come in ever so slightly. Your first name? Steven. Hopefully we haven't messed up. It's still tight. Still tight. All right, I cleaned up this edge here that was chipping out right here. Nobody would have seen it except a wood turner. Okay, so I got that cleaned out. All right, happy with that. Got that marked. Take that out. Let's put the base in. Yeah, you're right. You can mark the jaws. I didn't. That looks like I got it back in. Some of it is experience, some of it's getting a little bit lucky. Yes, you're told not to take it out because you run the risk of not getting it back in. You might have to work it a couple times to get it back. I've had experience where I didn't. But the more and more you do, you can feel whether you get locked in or not. You'd be able to adjust it. Okay. And yes, you could mark on there. All right. So I have the bottom where I want. Let's go check that tenon. Again, one more time. It looks, it's just a little bit snug. Remember, we're cutting on one side, right? No, we're not. We're cutting on two sides, right? Because as we cut this side, we're also cutting the other side. Does it make sense? Back row? You're falling asleep on me? Yes, go ahead. Make it. Yeah, it makes sense because you are. So you go in an eighth, you're going in farther than an eighth, okay? Just remember that. I'm just going to lightly touch this. Yeah, I got a little bit. It's a little loose. It'll work. Anybody have any preference on how they make? That's a little thin wall too, isn't it? It'll work, but yeah. Right now that wall looks like it's it's an 1/8 inch thick. And I'll make this a little bit. Like the 10 still looks a little odd shape. Now, if this didn't fit, we can always put a paper towel on to work the top. So I'm trying to line this up and see what we can do to shape this where it actually, that looks like it goes right there. And all right. Taking out the tip on the, remember this. Pull the top on. We'll do some outside shaping. So I've got the top where I want it. I'm going to do a little bit of outside shaping on it. I've got some room. Sounded like about 2,400. Sound like about 2,400. Okay, so I'm. Give them some shape, kind of shape here that the hand can grab. Spindle gouge down and in. All right, I'm somewhat happy with that. It's a little bit rough right there. We can put 2 lines. I didn't bring a wire, but we'll see if we. I'm going to burn in here for mica. Again, didn't get it exact centered, but just to something delineate where the part is. Take the 2. Yeah, I'm at 2,400. I'm at 2,400. John. And what I'll do is I'll try to see if we can keep this from coming off. work this top. My cuts are going to be going that way to keep pressure against the top as opposed to going this way. See if we can keep it from coming off. So I'm trying to take the dovetail and incorporate it without taking it off completely. And I will work that dimple in. I'll get a nice cut here. We'll go a little bit of depth in here. Take a little of that dimple out. I'm going to get the texturing tool. It's a little rough there. Let's clean that up. I see pencil marks on it. Is that speed down for the texture? I like to get the speed down lower. Push this down just before it falls off. Let's see if we can get some herringbone on this. Well, that didn't come out as what I like to do. Wasn't heavy enough on that. I'll add the point tool to delineate. Point tool, the flat, one of the flat sides up on the three-sided point tool. All right. Just a little bit. That's a little bit tight. Key, Ray Key. Yeah, bye, Val. Ray Key, A or F. Ray Key's the Turner from England. And the grade you got was A or F, whether the lid stayed on or not. Everybody hear of Ray Key? I know the back row, some guys did. That's the one. If you've seen some old videos of him, he did a lot of turning demonstrations for Craft Supply in Utah. And a couple of them I've seen, Ray didn't look like he was too happy. And I heard that they wanted him to do some things that he wasn't normally used to doing because the camera guy wanted to be this way. So, but Ray, if you've seen some of them, 2 grades. Uh-oh. A or F. We're going to be too loose, I can tell right now. No. Okay. It's probably a little bit tight. All right, so we need to work the bottom and probably go a little deeper in there. So the bottom, I don't think is going to fit. And I didn't bring a jam chuck. Let's see if we can, I don't think it'll fit here. No, it won't fit. So what we could do. All right, so what we could do, we put some masking tape on the inside of that or on the outside of the wood. Put it around that tenon, come inside with it, and then we'll gently all right, so we'll gently do that. Get this out of the way. Now, Becky, this is where I need to put that pin I took out back in, because I want to see, Wayne's going to test me on this. Did I get it lined up? Because that's what's going to find out if you've got this thing lined up when you've got it chucked is. I'm going to go too hard. Yeah, all right. It looks like it's lined up. Now I can clean up the bottom. And we're going to save that just right now. I can clean up the bottom. I've got it chucked up. Then go inside and I've got some bug marks to work. So I've got it chucked up. I think it's in pretty good. I'm going to stop there because I've got a couple of bug holes I'm going to have to stop and fix and address. But we can embellish the bottom. In this case, I'm going to use the knurling tool. I'm just going to hit 360. I want to be center the axis this way. I'll gently going a bit fast. I'd like a little bit slower. No, it moved on me. All right. All right. So we'll pull this out of the chuck, pull the tape off. Went the wrong way. Certainly needs a little bit more help on the inside. That's why I left the tenon on. It's a little rough inside there. Let me clean that up. And it's a bit tight still.
Outside show in the middle of summer. Maybe 100 degrees. You don't have a kind of spot getting that thing open.
One more time, Jerry.
You did a show in the middle of summer,
Yeah,
outdoor show. You know, like 98% humidity and,
Sure.
you know, about 100 degrees. You don't have a problem with getting that thing open when you make them that tight?
Well, I could take a little more. I'm looking at this, Jerry, and it doesn't look like it's 90
Yeah.
degrees. You see it? It's higher up here than it is here.
Mm.
You see it?
Yeah.
So I'd go back and recheck that
Yeah.
up and take a little bit off.
Because
Just-
I always made mine just a tad loose because, you know, as I say, you could do outside show. And,
Ray Key's sitting right over there.
Yeah.
I see him sitting over there.
yeah,
You guys don't do the rabbit's over there too. Harvey, he's over there too. But
yeah. I mean, you know, you'd.
no, on a serious note, yeah, I agree. It's a little bit tight. The reason I'm not going farther is inside, I've got to address the problems in there. So if I take the tenon off, do I clean that? It got a little bit
Yeah, they bottoms.
a little tear out in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before I take too much out, and the other thing I should have done, everybody, is I should have thought about this a little bit. This should have been opened up a little bit. This should have been a little bit bigger diameter, so I can get it on the 50 millimeter chuck and just go back here on this with it. Now, they will tell you, just like we did on the birdhouse this morning, you push out on that, you could break it, but that's one way to go work this bottom instead of doing a jam chuck, is check that diameter. And that should have been, I shouldn't have gone so far. This should have been at least 50 millimeter, a little bit more, 50 millimeters. So go on from the outside. Things you remember as you do more of these. You can pass it around. Yeah, Jerry's right. It's a little bit, let me clean that one side up. Other questions? Sir. I'll try. No, I don't wrestle with it at all. I always do them this way. Now, I took a class with the legendary Craig Schmidt, and Craig put the tenon, the tenon he put on the top. I've done it this way. I think it was a class I took. Now, you could go the other way, but this is this is the recess, and this is a tenon. Could go the other way. Sometimes on the top, I think if it gets dropped more because it's a smaller piece, that piece is sticking out. Whereas when you have just a recess and this gets dropped, it's not going to damage the tenon edge. And of course, another thing from Craig shared with me a long time ago is if you made it this tight and you tried to sell it, it won't get bought because women are buying 80, 75, 80% of these. And that's too tight. They won't open it up. But yeah, no. I mean, you got to know you got to know your market. Yeah. It just reminded me of one of the professors in the welding class. We're doing this welding. It's got a 1 inch. It's got to meet certain tension. A or F. There is no grade in between. You were there, you weren't there. Doesn't count. After you weld the thing up, pull it apart, did it meet 5,000 pounds? A or F? That's it. Two choices. But on a serious note, I understand where Katie's going on it. He was selling his stuff in a consignment or a high-end store in London, and I can see right now I can see the problem. It's got a little bit of a taper. I know you back broke it. It's got a little bit of taper and hanging up right back here. I know Jeff Hornig likes to have that hang up right here in the middle and then down in there so that it rocks on a little bit, a little bit more. Any other questions?
Maybe you mentioned it. And maybe you mentioned it, I just missed it, but on the bottom, you cut it so that there's a recess at the bottom so that it rests flat. When you set it down on a shelf, undercut your bottom.
Yes, I did. It's not, Charlie.
I know you were
didn't
leaving
finish
the
bottom
tenon,
off.
but
Right, I didn't finish off, but yes, I undercut it. It most definitely. Most definitely. This big leaf maple has a tendency to tear out a little bit, but it sure has some unique colors in it.
What's your favorite wood you want?
Yeah, free. Yeah, free. Cherry. I've got some sweet gum or red gum that's been. I think there was a piece that was passed around. It was spalted. Even some that's got some bug marks on it. That you're trying to match up and keep that part of it. Yeah. Something that's going to give you a nice clean cut. If you get in nice clean, cherry gives you such a nice clean cut, especially oak. Yeah, somebody have to be throwing some money at you to go do oak, red or white.
Got some river birch recently with that.
I've never turned anybody in the crowd, just turned river birch. I don't know, is it open or closed grain wood? I mean, normally birch is a closed grain wood. I like closed grain woods for something like that, but I mean, walnut's an open grain. Any of the exotics are nice to turn, especially for, and I got some small from Rick that he had pillboxes. Because that's the next step after this. You go down smaller jaws, get a smaller chuck, you do pillboxes. And they're much smaller, but you work on the, hardwoods, red heart, purple heart, where is he? The librarian, he's got a bunch of it. African blackwood. Oh man, that stuff turns a lot of oil. Olive wood. You get a good piece of olive wood, yeah, it'll turn real nice, a lot of oil in it. I just think the oaks don't turn well. Ash, there's a couple pieces I had that turned in ash. They came out real nice. I think this will be too, once you get the bug holes filled and sanded. I've kind of always admired little bit boxes from that standpoint. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
On your texturing tool,
Yes, sir.
anybody ever had that screw unscrewed? It's brass and the magnet don't pick it up. I had that happen one time, and then I read the directions. They're supposed to have that screwed up because it's turning left-handed.
I keep it to the right.
If you hand it up.
Let's do this. The texturing tool, proper use and improper use. I should have gone over that. As you're turning the tool, this should be on your right-hand side. Top, bottom. Now, if you use it long enough, it's got enough junk in it, you might roll it. On this side, if you have it this side, as you're looking at the tool, that as it catches it, brand new, that thread, the brass thread will come out. Now, the downside also to this is on the more expensive Sorby tools, they've got a bearing in it. There is no bearing in here. And eventually this brass gets oblong. I mean, you can buy new brass parts. And this is a little bit sloppy on this one right now. The other thing to think about, and I do put a cover on mine. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I've got some kind of clear plastic that I put on this. That edge needs to be sharpened. It's gotten dull, hitting the lathe, hitting any metal parts. And Jeff Hornick said, straight into a piece of wood with a file on this edge, you get that edge. Because if you don't, first name again? William. If you look inside this, can you catch? All right, we'll just pass it back. I didn't get the flour real clean, and part of that is me, but part of that, I don't think this edge is sharp anymore like it used to be. And you need a crisp cut in there on that dead set flour on the inside. You see the base where? Oh, you don't have to have, yes, you don't have to have that. You don't have to use it. You can, if you're doing spindles or handles where you want herringbone down this way and come back this way. Yes, there is a base you can use on that, and you can turn it, set the base on it, come down this way, turn it back, come back this way. But if you're doing freehand, it's my opinion, for what it's worth, a song by Buffalo Springfield, that base gets in the way. But yes, if you're doing a handle, William, where you want it on the money, yeah, the base is good. But I'm going inside, and I think it gets in the way. Anybody else have an opposing view that they want the base on? Well, I mean, certainly if you're wanting to do herringbone all the way down, you want to match it. Yes, the base works on it, and it's, I don't know, there's a marking on this.
My problem is it doesn't want to track.
On your tool rest. I would take the tool rest, put a file on it, and try to get that smoothed out, because First off, I'd say, how often are you doing it? Are you getting enough practice on it to get right? Um, um, Yeah, I think the base helps if you're doing, if you want to do repeatable something that, especially a spindle. I want to get herringbone going down this way and here. I tried to get it on the top. I went both top and bottom, but I pushed that one much harder. And on the top, I just got a ring and it went over the top of whatever I was doing. Yes, there is a base to work on it. Yes, I like to get the speed around 240, 2-ish. I think 500 is too fast. That's what I'm using at. And this, I can feel this is a little bit loose. I probably should get a new brass rod in it right now, but
They also say it's not full.
that's a good point. Probably should put. Do you think that's synthetic oil, or is it can use that old time oil that they got, in the 60s? Pennsylvania, Pennzoil, only Pennzoil. Okay. Now, on your on a serious note, that's probably right. Right. You should have a little bit of oil in that to help out. You're right. Yeah, no, that's right. And Fred's right. You want to keep this to the right. You're going up there, down the bottom. Over here, it'll come out on you. It will come out.
The other way, when that does fall out, your shavings are this deep, the magnet won't pick it up because brass. Get you one of those big plastic tubs and put shavings in it. Fill it with about 2 or 3 inches of water. Find it.
Water?
Yeah, because the shavings will slope. Then you reach down in.
I don't like that plan. I water out in my wood shop with the rest of the stuff. No, okay.
It's in the tub.
Yeah, all right. All right. Suggested by a spare one of these. You're worried about? Okay, any other questions? All right, so the president's challenge for July is lidded box. July, right? We're in June. Okay. Lidded box, any size. Fred, I guess since you supersize those birdhouses, you're gonna supersize this
That would be,
well,
these are pretty.
yeah, you're right. It could be that, something like that. That's pretty good size. All right. All right. That being it, Charlie, go ahead.